Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to October's giveaway. So I'm just going to give it a second or two, scooch my chair up, and just double check we're working. It normally takes a minute or two for us to get started. So give it a minute, and then we're good to go. I'll have some of my juice. So just give it a minute or so. I've been busy this week sorting out the carnage that's been left from our travels. A couple of days doing my rigs, tidying all those up. I've had a good cleaning session, to be honest. I've cleaned all my long kits, cleaned my pole. The short kits are down there drying, so been a busy boy tidying it all up. When you're here, there and everywhere, sort of doing silvers matches, then carb, and then some F1s, everything just gets wrecked. And I'm not a fan of dirty stuff, so we've got a comment on already from Mark, so I'll pop you up, Mark. So from Mark Sweeney, well done on the win at Redhill. Thank you ever so much, Mark. Mega venue, honestly. I had loads of help. Big shout out to Callum. He helped me out massively. And also, when we went to Ivy, he told me exactly what to do there. So I feel like I need to give Callum some really good information soon because, yeah, he's superstar like. So yeah, but thank you ever so much, Mark. It was brilliant. Obviously first time going there. Fishing was exceptional. Sort of everything was massive as well, which was nice, like big F1s. And then on day two, caught some carp in the edge on that Penny's Lake. And I'd heard from one of the lads, obviously Andrew Mann, he helped me out massively. So again, big shout out to Andrew. And there was a lad there called Gareth Boycott who was third. He told me about the edges as well, so massive shout out to Gareth. And I could see him on the practice match. I didn't really know where to look, to be honest, because I had Callum absolutely machining it opposite me, catching shallow on his overshotted rig. And to be honest, that's what I went there for, to learn. So I'm sort of watching Callum, how he's flicking his rig, roughly how deep, how often he's feeding. And then I can see Gareth sort of further down to me right. He's on, I want to say it was peg 40. I don't know the pegs, obviously it's our first time, but he's looking up the lake, and I know he does well there as well. So I'm looking down, and every now I can see him sort of fishing in the edge, and then every now and again you see him sort of lift up in this carp with its tail sort of, massive. And I'm thinking, God, there's some massive ones in here as well. So yeah, it was a mega place. If you ever get a chance to go there, you've got to go. It's just a stunning fishery. Like I know you go fishing for the fishing, but when you sat there, especially on that Penny's Lake, on the low number side, the side that I was on the second day, and you're looking out, you just can't see anything, and it's just lovely, to be honest. But yes, thank you ever so much. So moving further down, we're sort of getting ready now. We've had a few comments come in, so I know it takes a while on sort of social media. Sometimes Joe says to me, well, it didn't come up and then you were, almost finished or so. But yeah, looks like we've got a few on now. So from Ian, hi Paul, you've been on fire. Well done. Thank you ever so much, Ian. I think the biggest thing, obviously I just mentioned on it, some great information, but biggest thing, you've got to draw the right pegs. And I'm going to say it was weird, I'll touch on it on our live with Andy, but after the Drennan Festival, and I know you fished that, Ian, I phoned Andy up on the way back home, saying, be honest with me, like you're going to laugh now, and I'm sort of laughing, but at the time I genuinely didn't feel like it. I said, like, am I past it? Like, am I broken or something? Can I not catch anything anymore? And he was like, honestly, mate, you just had, a similar chat with Chris. He felt like he was struggling, and now look, he's just wins everywhere he goes. He said it's just runs, and when you're not drawing well, it does make you feel like that. But honestly, if he'd just said to me, yeah, mate, I think you passed it, I would have believed him. But that's what it is. When you go in and you're not drawing well enough, you can't help but doubt yourself, and you feel like, I don't know, am I doing something wrong? That's more, if I'm not doing the right thing, I can accept that, and you can learn, obviously, to make yourself better as well. And that was one of the biggest reasons, obviously, why I wanted to go on that Redhill Festival, because I know that's a big weakness. And the biggest thing with it is it's a weakness because I don't particularly want to do it, and I think that's the problem. But I've been in this situation in the past, when it comes to paste fishing, I know how deadly it can be. And I've almost thought, I need to have a word with myself. And at the end of the day, fishing nowadays is so competitive. You can't have that attitude of, I don't want to do it, because how devastating it is and how dominating it is. And that was one of the biggest reasons why I went there. But yeah, the biggest thing, obviously, like we'll talk about it tonight, but I genuinely felt like almost angling hotline type thing when I was speaking to him, just like, I can't catch, mate. Am I doing something wrong? Is my decisions wrong? Am I, you just doubt everything. Am I loose feeding when I should be potting? Am I too aggressive now? Am I not doing the right things at the right times? And just like talking this like angling god, and Andy speaking to him, and he's like, mate, you're just drawing crap. And then literally after his phone call, went to Southampton Farm, come second by 6 ounce, went to Red Hill, and then went to Ivy House. And the biggest thing is every single time I've had a chance to do well. So yeah, I wanted to touch on that a little bit, because I know I could have done with that. Well, I needed that, before obviously these matches, but it's just a case of taking your luck as and when you get it. That's the biggest thing. But yeah, it's mega. But the biggest thing is drawing well, and obviously having the right information. That helps massively as well. So where are we to? And then we can start our giveaway. So from John Brown, our regular boys, well done, Danny, you've won again. Sorry, Danny, you haven't won again. They love it, these two. I'm sure Danny will be on commenting saying the John's one. So this one's from Ryan Forrest. Hey, Paul, hope you and Joe's all right. I'm guessing that's what you would have said. Yeah, hope you and Joe are well. Here it is. Well done on the win. Yes, all good here, Ryan. Hope you and PJ, the family, are well. So this one's from Ian. Are you fishing the teams of 4 again? The tunnel. I'm not, Ian, this year, because I wanted to do John Cook's Fish South Silvers, but also Gaz is running the On the Flyer Silvers qualifiers. And the biggest one for me is that Anything Counts one, where the finals at Tunnel in March. So I just said this year, I'm not going to do the teams of 4, and I loved it, but it's a lot to commit to, 10 rounds there, which that's 10 Saturdays that I can't do the qualifiers. And also the Rushmore that I done last year, and John Cook's, I think it was an individual one on the Middle Lake. I'm just not doing any of the team matches. I'm just going to try my best to try and get in these finals. So again, some a little bit different, change it up. But I think what I'm going to do is, if I've got a weekend free, then I'll just jump in on the teams of 4 and have a guest, But yeah, I'll definitely be there at Tunnel. I'm just not going to do the teams of 4, because then it's sort of 10 qualifiers that potentially I wouldn't be able to do. Because again, a lot of the qualifiers, some of them are like our side of the Midlands, obviously some of a lot further. So yeah, I'm just going to try and get in those. So had a little bit of luck, got in Fish South, so I'm going to try and get in the Anything That Counts one, and then obviously the Silverfish one at Meadowlands, because I love going there. So yeah, that's my plan. But you're going to have a mega winter there. It was brilliant last year. This one's we've done that one. That was from Ryan. So this one's from, you can see I ain't got any better with technology, pushing the wrong buttons, Paul. So this one's from Mark. Will be better next year, as people now seen how 2 top flight anglers attack it, and in the winter. So hopefully more big names come next year and you keep the winter title. Biggest thing is just go in there, Mark. I know I'm under no illusions how well I drew. I know the boys said to me that peg 2 on Molly's is an unbelievable draw. And then obviously second day, I'm pleasure fishing. I've got literally half the lake to myself. But the fishing was just mega. The people were lovely. The scenery was stunning. Just brilliant. I can't wait to get back there, to be honest. And I think you're right. A lot of people, when you're looking at up and down the country, it's almost like Todber. Like, it don't make sense. You look at the results at Todber when, it was happening a lot. More so, I'm going to say a few years ago, when it wasn't like Darth weights, when it was Darth weights, it was still like 200 odd pound in the winter. And you looked at it and thought, well, this is in June. Like, the match reports from June, the results are such, because everywhere up and down the country is obviously full on winter mode. But yeah, it's one of those special venues. And it's not fish race, what was nice. Again, one of the reasons why I love going to Monk Hall is because it's not just F1s. There's loads of carp to be caught as well. And I think more so on pennies, but again, I've only fished those 2 lakes. I know the first one, is it Sophie's? I think there's more carp in that lake from what I was told. But yeah, it was just nice because it's not just out and out shallow, you know, you can catch in the edge. I think after an hour, I'm trying to think after an hour what I had. I want to say I had £90 roughly after an hour. So started short. I fed in the edge, some micros and some corn. Started short on hard pellets, caught a little carp. I looked down as I was playing it and they were mudding up in the edge. So I dropped in short again and thought, what are you doing? Like, get in the edge. I went in the edge and caught one £12. It was like, wet your knickers job. Mega day. But yeah, I think a lot of people will travel for him, aren't you? Dead right. So this one's from Ryan. With it getting cold, Paul, would you still fish pellets? Yeah, 1,000,000%, Ryan. Depends on where you go. If I was going to tunnel for argument's sake, fishing for sort of F1s, I think starting in 3 foot, feeding some micros and an expander, that'd be a brilliant way of starting and then changing your light, especially short on maggots. But across, I'd definitely start with pellets. I have done a little bit of skimmer fishing. And when I went to Southend Farm, the first time I went there, I fished pellets, and I don't think it was right. It seems like worms are better. And then when we went to Ivy House for skimmers, worms definitely seemed better. So I think if I was fishing for carp and F1s, I'd definitely still take pellets, 1,000,000%. But if I was fishing for skimmers, I feel like worms, casters, ground bait, that seems to be a bit better at the moment. But yeah, depending obviously what you're fishing for. But hopefully that helps you, Ryan. And then this one's from Ian. Evening, Ian. Hope you're keeping well. And then our last one's from Mark. Do you think that overshotting pattern hard to learn and get better at? Do you think that overshot? I don't think it's hard to learn. I just haven't got it right. My best rig, to be honest, I went there because I know how much it dominated in the summertime. And you're thinking August, the shallowest I'm probably going to catch him is 16-inch deep. I've heard it's a good venue, but in my mind, I was more thinking I might catch him like 20-inch, 2 foot. I set a rig up for 16-inch just in case. And on the first day, eventually, you might have seen on Gaz's Live when I'm sat there tying another rig up, that was like my long line rig to fish 8-inch deep. They were swirling for my bait. It's like, is it July time or what? It was crazy. And I felt, again, from where I drew, because I drew so well, obviously there's so many fish there, you'd be able to see, if you have a look at that On The Flyer Gaz's page, and you can see Gareth on peg 2 on mollies where I was on day 1, you see them all boiling. That's exactly what it was like. And then on the last day, it was even better, obviously, because I got half the lake to myself. But my best rig, I went there to do that, thinking I'm going to get my pants pulled down. I know that. But fishing a long line, backshotted dibber rig was by far my best rig. But when you watch people like Callum, Christian, Brad Lucas, Rob Swan, they're the ones that immediately spring to my mind. Their flicking technique is just so controlled. They're not just thrashing the water to a foam. There's a lot of thought gone into when they're feeding, how much they're feeding, how often they're feeding. And I honestly think the hardest thing, Mark, to learn is with your normal rig. So how I always see my shallow fishing, when the fish come off the bottom because they've come up, and you're getting signs on your flow or you go out shallow. Say you've gone in on a 12-inch rig and you feed in 10 casters or 10 maggots twice. And then you feed in, and at 12-inch, for argument's sake, you're getting an odd bite, and it's like, it's not enough. I'm not getting enough signs. So you go to, say, 16-inch deep, 4-inch deeper, and immediately start getting a few more indications. So it's like, right, well, I know the depth now. I know where they're sat. And as you're going out and you're catching a few, you get that feeling of, I'm going to up it a bit more. And then it don't seem to work. It has a negative impact on the amount of signs and bites you are getting. Or you feed him more and you think, bloody hell, like, they really want it today. And now all of a sudden you're feeding more, the fish are competing more for the bait and you come higher. So for me, when I'm fishing with a fixed rig, a floating rig, so you're getting a sign on your flow, whether you're getting a liner or, you're missing bites, or you sit there and you're just getting an odd little bite and you're changing your shotting pattern. you're getting information coming back to you all of the time. So you drop in and you don't get bites. It's simple. You've got to go deeper, or you're going in, you're missing 1,000 bites. You've got to come shallow. I think you get so much information when you're fishing like that. It's very easy to change. Whereas when you're fishing with an overshotted rig, I don't get any of that. I don't know what I'm looking for. Like Chris gave me some advice, obviously if they're hooked deep down or you hook them in the bottom lip, then you need to shallow up. But my problem is I go on a normal rig and I'm missing bites, I'm getting bites, I've got something to work with. And it's very easy for me because I'm getting this feedback all of the time. And because I've done it for a long time, like I give a perfect example when we was as good as Red Hill was, you catching them sort of like dead shallow. But you go in on a short line rig, you wouldn't think they're a fish in your peg. You go in on a long line rig and all of a sudden now they're swirling for your bait. So getting that feedback all of the time is very difficult for me, what it is very difficult is when I'm sat there flicking a rig, like I don't know what I'm doing. And then every now and again you hook one. And I think, is this right? Am I feeding enough? Am I not feeding often enough? Am I the right depth? And that's the bit, to be honest, that confuses the life out of me. And I'm sure I mentioned it on one of our mini sessions that I done when I was fishing it, and that was at Moncall. I want to say that was on Lark, peg 12 for reference. And I remember watching it back because I was talking. I'm thinking, well, I'm catching a few. And I watched it back because I think we filmed it, I want to say, for about half an hour. And it's only really when you're fishing and you're so concentrating on what you're doing, how much to feed, am I doing it right? When I sat back and watched it on, the computer upstairs, and I'm watching it happen, unfold, and I'm looking and thinking, right, well, that F1 was £3, that one was £2, that one was £4. I'm thinking, if I was catching like this on a fixed rig, I'd genuinely be thinking to myself, I'm going to break the record. And I remember how I felt when I was fishing. They didn't feel that quick. I didn't feel like I was catching that well. And that's the difference between a normal rig where you're getting that information all of the time, you're missing bites, and then you catch one, and you go and you catch one quick, and then you miss a couple of bites. Because something's always happening, you're always ticking over and feeding and changing your rig, changing your depth, how you put your rig in. Do you just flick it in? Do you slap it in? Whereas with this, you just catch one. So it's very difficult for me and working out the right way of doing it. And that's been the bit that I know I genuinely need to get better at it. But I think the other problem is, as well, being brutally honest, is I'll go in on it. If I don't catch one within 20 seconds, I just put it down and go back on my normal rig. So yeah, it's a big weakness, but there is a lot more to it than meets the eye. When I watched Callum on that practice match, I just looked around and just thought, it doesn't matter. It's a 6-hour match. He could have fished for 4 and 1 because you can just tell he's so smooth, feed him before he goes out. His flicking is controlled. And the one thing that I found, I'll be honest, on the practice match was early on, I said to Callum afterwards, and he just laughed at me. I said, early on, I'm flicking it like too aggressive. I said, and when I've slowed everything down and just flicked it up and just lowered it down, he just started laughing at me. And I was like, but it's those things, when you're doing it, it's how you flick it, how do you lower it, your depth, there's a lot to it. But I think with a normal rig, the hardest thing of getting your head around is when you're fishing. This is the hardest thing that I'm struggling to get my head around. So when you're fishing with a normal rig, it's the information loop all of the time. You feed too much and it's like, no, that ain't right. You're getting information all of the time on all your changes. You change to a shorter line, is it better or worse? And more often than not, it's like that. It will be extremely, better. You go in, just pole gets towed out of your hand, you think, yeah, that didn't make a difference. They're not scared of the pole tip. Or you go out and it's like, where they gone? It's like I'm fishing in an empty bathtub. You put your long line rig back on, all of a sudden, getting more signs. So, say that fixed rig side of it, it's that feedback loop all of the time that you're getting. Whereas with that, I'm struggling without that feedback loop. But yes, needs practice, needs a lot of practice, to be honest, man. So, where are we? And then, obviously, you boys have come, and girls, to see the giveaway. Sorry, I'm jibber-jabbering on a little bit. So, Oh, sorry, this one's before we skip you, Tone. This one's from Ian. Evening, Ian. Hope you're keeping well. This one's from Tony. Hi, Paul. Well done on the win. Joe is okay. Just got Trax ground bait for Alders Farm. Better using Trax or ground bait using Trax 4mm pellets. I still think Alders is such a mega venue, a bit like obviously where we've been. And thanks for that, Tone. And Joe is all good. Hope everything's all good your end. But I would say Alders is still a mega venue. When I went there, when I'd done the academy with the young uns for Guru, it was an unbelievable venue. So I still think you will catch some. Well, you might do with ground bait in the edge. But I'll be honest, I feel like now with it going a bit cooler, I think ground bait in the summertime is perfect. But I'll be honest, I think if I was to fish in the edge, not knowing it, I'd probably opt for micros and corn. That's probably what I'd opt for. And then short and long with pellets, and maybe change my short line to sort of live maggots as it's getting colder, because I know they're only sort of little carp. I just think, again, the nice thing with live maggots, throwing them in, you can just throw them in all day. You never got to worry about blowing your peg up. So I don't know it that well, but obviously keep me up to date with obviously how your matches are going, then I can try and help you out, Tony. But yeah, I think ground bait, I mean, don't get me wrong, it will still work, but I just think you're on the, if you'd have asked me this last month, I'd have been saying this is the month, where obviously ground bait does play a massive part. But I just think micros and corn are a safer bet. That's what I'd opt for, Tony. But you can always save it up for, obviously, for next summertime. So this one's from Alan. You're right, Alan. Hope you're keeping well. He sent us some mugs. He's superstar. So when fishing for carp on the method where the water is, say, very silty, is there any benefit fishing with a longer hook length, say 6 inch? To be honest, Alan, I don't go anywhere. I know you're on about Boneham, where you go. It's something you just have to try, to be honest. I'd say most of the venues, all the venues, I can't think of anywhere off the top of my head. The only place I can think of where I've ever fished, where it's really, really silty and you fish for carp and sort of open water, that going on about, what you're saying about Boneham with it being very shallow, was when I used to go to Viaduct, but the method was never allowed there. You were only ever allowed to fish a bomb with, I want to say it was a 12-inch hook length. You were never allowed a method feeder there. But I know the boys that go to, is it Hallcroft, where it's very silty, they use a dead light little feeder, like a 15 grammer. I never fish like that though. But that's something to try. I mean, it's definitely worth trying. I'd say I haven't got any experience though, Alan, to, give you concrete evidence of where I've been and felt like that has genuinely worked well. But yes, just try it, I would say. 6 inch, 5-inch hook length, that might be a nice length. It's just something you'd have to play around with, to be honest. But I think as it's going colder, a method will still work well. But if you're really, really worried about the bottom being dead soft, if I was going to a place like that, and the other one, where is it? Woodlands Thirsk, where I know the boys use like 4mm a lot around the method. But I'll be honest, if I was really worried about fishing on a real bad bottom, especially now with it going colder, where you're fishing for a bite first, not looking for a run of fish, I would probably just fish a bomb with, a short hook length, say 8-inch hook length, and I use like a little tiny PVA bag. And the one you want when I was doing it was the Korda 4 Seasons hex mesh. I tried loads of them. Excuse me. And I think the Guru Speed Mesh one's similar. But I know when I done it, which was a long time ago, the Korda 4 Seasons hex mesh one, because it's almost looks like a knotted mesh landing net, if that makes sense. There's less PVA to break down, and don't make them up too far in advance. But that's probably how I would go and fish, like a bomb, 8-inch hook length, a little PVA bag, just want a gated baiting needle, and basically just thread your baiting needle through your bag. It's got that little gate on it. Clip your hook length on, close the gate, and just slide it through. There, that way, wherever you chuck it, no matter how the bomb lands, how windy it is, wherever you chuck it, you know that the fish can get to your hook bait. And again, that bottom end of Barston, when I used to fish a long time ago in the UK Champs, You chuck a method out and it don't work. You chuck a bomb out with a PVA bag and you catch on it. So that's probably what I would say, Alan. Have a go with that bomb in a bag because it just works so well. And again, you ain't got to worry about trying then to get your 4mm stick round a method. It gets awkward. You know, you can try with like 5 8mm in a bag, or you know, a few 6mm or some 4mm. So you've got more options putting different, you know, loose bait in your little PVA bag. So that's probably what I would say, Alan. And then our last one is from Mark, and then we can do our giveaway. So thanks for the information. I'll be logging in more often, but in the bar at Cyprus at the present. Again, appreciate the tips. That's just a mean Mark. You can't be on here when we're all in cold England now, working. Horrible man, you're banned. No, I'm only joking. I hope you have a lovely time. I'm just going to make sure that you haven't won, because if you had won, I'd have said sorry, but we're going to have a repick with you being in Cyprus. You've already won. So I'm going to have a sip of my juice, and then I can go through our October giveaway. So I'm going to try and get the email bit right first. So you will get an email from support@matchfocus.co.uk if you subscribe via the website. But if you subscribe via YouTube, please email us. Again, same one, support@matchfocus.co.uk. Again, I touch on this every month. If ever you get an email and you're worried, we're never going to ask you for payment. We're never going to ask you for your card details. Literally all we want is basically, I'm not going to say it, but we are not going to ask for money. And if ever you was worried that you got, I know, I'm sure I've seen it on Preston's page and Quorum, that, you know, there's Facebook pages that are emulating them as such. If ever you're worried and you think it looks a bit dodgy, just send me a message. It's never going to be a problem. I would much rather you know, just ask. Don't ever feel like, I don't want to be a nuisance. Just be a nuisance. I don't want you ever getting, I haven't heard of anything up until now, but I know how much it happens, and you know what this world's like with the way that it is. It's only a matter of time before it's going to happen. So I keep seeing it. I don't want any of our lads to ever, you know, get in that situation. That's why I mention it every month. So if ever you're unsure, just send us a message, and you know, I'm going to make sure, basically clear it up as such. So before I win out our winners, before I read out our winners, you need to know obviously what you're going to win. So again, I'm going to try and change it month on month now. It's getting colder, but it does mean some good silverfish fishing, fingers crossed. So yeah, change it up for the months coming up, you know, getting ready for winter time. So what we're going to do is going to give away some 4mm expanders. Again, there was a little video on Blake's, I think, Phil put up about just preparing them in a corner of a food bag. That's definitely the best way of preparing these pellets. But yes, some 4mm expanders. And then moving further down, Skimmers Dark. Everyone seems to be using this. Mega ground bait, to be honest. And I find myself just using that now in the winter wherever I go, whether I'm carp fishing, F1 fishing, silverfish fishing. The carp seems to love it on silverfish matches, so I just find myself just using that all of the time now, to be honest. Just try and keep it nice and simple. So when I was going to gold, I haven't obviously been for a long time, but using this course expander seemed really, really good for carp. But personally, I just tend to find myself using Skimmers Dark more and more now, to be honest. But a kilo of course expander. I've got 2 for the lads that still do a bit of carp fishing. Our next one is our course carp, rather than using our coarser tracks now. I think that one in the summertime, that attracts ground bait, it'd be mega, well, it is mega. But I think that for me, that's more suited for summertime, whereas coarse carp, I'd happily use that all winter. A really, really nice ground bait that is. And then lastly, a kilo of pole mix, so you can save them up ready for the summertime as well. So talking through our winners, so our first winner is Dave Scott. Congratulations, Dave. Our second winner is Kev East. Congratulations, Kev. Our third winner is Gareth Gibbons. Congratulations, Gareth. Our fourth winner is Robert Fear. Congratulations, Robert. Our fifth winner is Clive Storer. Congratulations, Clive. Our 6th winner is Daryl Edwards. Congratulations, Daryl. Our 7th winner is Darren Vasey. Congratulations, Darren. Our 8th winner is Steve Stock. Congratulations, Steve. Our 9th winner is Ross McGuinness. Congratulations, Ross. And our 10th and final winner is Sean Fern. So massive congratulations to all of our winners. I am sorry if you didn't win, but fingers crossed. It's coming close to Christmas. Your luck might be turning sort of towards Christmas time. But again, just reading out the bit about emailing and such, sending your details, and then we can get it sent over. So if you've won and you subscribe to the website, you will get an email from us. But if you think you've won and you subscribe via YouTube, please email us at support@matchfocus.co.uk, and then Joe can get them sent over to Blake's. We wait for everyone to, basically get all of the winners in, then we send it over to Blake's, and then they pop them out in the post. So that is our October's giveaway. Me and Andy are going to be live on the website and on YouTube within an hour, sort of 6:30. I've had a few questions sent over to me. So again, if anyone would like, send in your question, make sure that we get them answered, or you can just ask them live, when we're actually live. So hopefully I'll see a few of you over there in, say, just under an hour, and we can carry on with our little fishy chat then. But if I don't see you, hopefully I'll see you on the bank soon. Hope you catch plenty, and I will catch up with you soon.